In his sharpest move yet, President Joe Biden came out with a fresh threat, saying he will pause more offensive military assistance if Israel goes through with an invasion of Rafah. The U.S. is warning that Israel will be dealing a strategic victory to Hamas if it goes forward with an all-out assault. The city of Rafah is the last major militant stronghold in Gaza, but it's also home to more than 1 million displaced civilians who are sheltering there. A warning: the footage in this story is disturbing. Quietly sitting on a horse-drawn cart, a young girl from the Al-Kafarna family looks out into the distance as she, her family, and their belongings are once again on the move. This family has been displaced several times since Israel began its onslaught on the enclave in October. Like most, they have had to pack up what remains of their belongings and flee for safety as the threat of an Israeli ground invasion of Rafah hangs over them.
The elder gentleman told me he would rather go back to his destroyed house in Khan Yunis than stay in Rafah. And as he was talking to me, he just broke down and started sobbing. The whole situation deteriorated. The kids started crying. Then the kids started pleading with me, make it stop, make it stop. This is the sort of situation that people are in. It's really, really tragic.
The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees now estimates nearly 79,000 people have fled the southern Gazan city since Monday amid an Israeli offensive. Today, a defiant Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his country will stand alone if it has to in its war against Hamas. Army forces were seen gathering today on the outskirts of Rafah. Netanyahu threatening to deepen a crisis in relations with the United States.
Have those bombs, those powerful 2,000-pound bombs, been used to kill civilians in Gaza?
Civilians have been killed in Gaza as a consequence of those bombs and other ways in which they go after population centers.
Netanyahu's remarks today come after a CNN interview with President Joe Biden, where he said the U.S. would not provide offensive weapons, including 2,000-pound bombs, for Israel's long-promised assault on Rafah. It's due to concerns over the more than 1 million Palestinian civilians who were huddled in the city.
It's just wrong. We're not going to supply the weapons and the artillery shells used that have been used.
Artillery shells as well.
Yeah. Artillery shells. I've made it clear to Bibi and the War Cabinet they're not going to get our support if, in fact, they go in these population centers.
But Netanyahu disregarded Biden, saying, quote, "If we need to, we will fight with our fingernails." The United States believes a major military operation in Rafah would weaken Israel's position in hostage talks with Hamas, the U.S. providing other options.
We have presented a full range of other policy choices that they can make that we think would achieve the goal of dismantling Hamas and choking off the Hamas battalions that remain in Rafah without further endangering civilians there and without causing this mass population displacement.
Instead, an Israeli airstrike on a residential building killed 8 people, including 4 children today.
I think the most particularly distressing thing has been seeing little toddlers with massive head wounds, with skull fractures, who are absolutely distraught and distressed with the pain and suffering, and who have sheer fear in their eyes from what they've been exposed to on a constant basis. These are children who are already have been suffering for 7 months, or almost 7 months, who are malnourished.
There's international concern about the flow of humanitarian aid, including food. The Rafah border crossing with Egypt, a main entry point for aid trucks, has been shut down since Israel's military took control of the Palestinian side early Tuesday. No aid has entered. Then there was this scene. Israeli activists opposed to sending humanitarian aid to Gaza blocked a major highway in southern Israel, snarling traffic. Drone video shows dozens of trucks jammed on a winding desert road. Meanwhile, these Israelis took to the streets of Tel Aviv yet again to protest their leader. They're calling on Netanyahu to put an end to the war.
We have to do everything to bring our hostages back. We can deal with Hamas later. The hostages have no time.
A few months ago, I thought we must fight in Gaza, but now there's no war. They're just staying there for nothing.
Hamas Hamas attacked Israel back on October 7th, killing 1,200 and abducting 252 others. 128 are still being held hostage in Gaza, and 36 have been declared dead.